One of the most slept on new announcements of the Nintendo Direct Mini was the Nintendo Switch Online game trial, in which, if you are a Nintendo Switch Online subscriber, you will be granted access to the full version of a game for a limited amount of time. In this case, the first entry is ARMS, and I've already mentioned how I've seen a huge explosion in ARMS players online because of this. But what you need to understand, what you really need to understand is that Nintendo is addressing a problem that only I seem to have noticed. I believe I'm the only YouTuber to have noticed this. Is that the kind of online games that Nintendo wants to make, in which they basically take one of their single player games and sort of build an entire multiplayer experience around it. It doesn't really what ends up happening. What ended up happening with games like like Triforce Heroes and Federation Force, is that people would beat the game and then stop playing it, and as a result, it's kind of difficult to find online games these days. These games are quite old. This isn't some oh, it's not like the games weren't popular or weren't liked or anything like that. I actually like Federation Force and Triforce Heroes a lot, but when I went back to randomly play them a while back, both of them, I found that there was no one online, and I felt like they needed Nintendo needs to have some sort of way to keep people coming back and playing these games regularly. And this Game Pass idea, in which they give away a free trial for Nintendo Switch Online subscribers, is a brilliant way to bring people back to a lot of these older online games that maybe people aren't playing a whole lot right now, or have sort of been overshadowed by newer releases, like ARMS was. Like, that's always been the argument against ARMS from the very beginning. Like, oh, why would I play ARMS when I could play Splatoon 2 instead? Well, for one thing, you are literally complaining about getting two good games instead of one. Like, this entire agenda against ARMS was laughable from the beginning, but Nintendo has now thoroughly dealt with these people. Nintendo has figured out a relatively reasonable way to sort of get games like ARMS, like Triforce Heroes, like Metroid Prime Federation Force, that were shit on and forgotten for petty reasons, back into the mainstream post release by giving it limited releases on Nintendo Switch. And it just goes to show you, it just goes to show you that Nintendo is indeed making the best online subscription there is, because they seem to be doing a lot with that $20 subscription a year, like getting these games talked about, putting old games out there, creating new original games like Tetris 99. Nintendo Switch Online is the bomb, and a lot of the backlash towards it has died down a lot over the past year or so, and it's only going to get more and more popular as time goes on. It's a lot like ARMS in that regard. It's a lot like a lot of these Nintendo games, Luigi's Mansion. Like, when you don't have that dedicated group of people who are determined to hate everything Nintendo puts out, no matter what, the conversation around the company, around what they're doing, the games they're putting out, their hardware, is generally pretty positive. There's a ARMS was a great game. Like, is a great game. Now is a great time to pick it up if you haven't. Like, they are literally giving away for free for a limited time if you are a Nintendo Switch Online subscriber. So I would go ahead and check that out and play it. It is a fantastic game. I enjoy it a lot. I've been playing it every day. It's an amazing game. Oof. I And I don't think it's going to be the last. I do think there are going to be other games that Nintendo gives away on this service. I could see Splatoon 2 coming on there sometime before Splatoon 3 comes out to get people warmed up for Splatoon 3, or maybe just buy Splatoon 2. Like, who knows? Who knows what they're thinking? Nintendo is doing a lot of great things, not just with ARMS, the IP, not just with the Switch, but with everything they've been doing. They are essentially future-proofing their consoles. We're reaching the point, I feel like, where it's going to be very, very difficult to damage control new IPs, stellar new IPs like ARMS, the way they've done in the past. There has been a gradual decline in the way they've been able to do that since the Wii days, I think. Like, we went from, like, this game is, like, literally baby shit to, like, this is not what the Wii U needs right now to, it's been overshadowed by better games to just... I don't even know why people shit talk ARMS anymore. It's just something people do because it's a Nintendo IP. And I think Nintendo has risen to the challenge and addressed the very real agenda against them in a reasonable way. Because people can't rally to hate a game if it's like, if it keeps getting new content, if it keeps being in the public eye. What was their argument against ARMS up to this point? That, like, oh, Nintendo hasn't talked about it since it came out. It must be a failure. And yet suddenly, somehow, out of nowhere, we have a confirmed Smash Bros. Character, a confirmed return to the comic, and this Game Pass. Like, the game itself is being released in a way that's revitalized its popularity. It's really, really difficult for me to take people who shit talk ARMS seriously, and you should be skeptical of all criticism lobbied at big new Nintendo IPs, because Nintendo simply does not seem to be able to put out games as bad as The Last of Us, Uncharted, Dreams, God of War 2018, Halo 4, 5, Infinite. Like, these Nintendo games are clearly better than shit that people praise endlessly. And with that in mind, you have to be extremely skeptical of what people say about Nintendo going forward. Nintendo always wins. They are going to win this console war, and that this is going to be the end of PlayStation and Xbox.